Good day, everyone. Today, we'll be diving into essential components of effective communication in the professional world. Nonverbal communication and business etiquette. Why are these important? Well, think about this. Have you ever been in a conversation where the words didn't quite match the body language or tone of voice? That's nonverbal communication at work. It's not just about what you say, but how you say it. In professional settings, the way we present ourselves without words can influence how others perceive us. On the other hand, business etiquette refers to the set of unwritten rules that help us interact in a respectful and professional manner, ensuring smooth and positive interaction in any workplace. Mastering these two aspects is crucial for building strong relationship, making lasting impression, and succeeding in your career. Through this presentation, we'll explore the types of nonverbal communication, learn how to apply proper business etiquette, and understand their impact on our professional lives. Let's get started. Today, I'll be discussing a topic that's essential for all of us, especially as we enter professional environments. Nonverbal communication and business etiquette. This concept might sound simple, but they play a huge role in how we interact in the workplace and how others perceive us. So, let's start. So, we're looking at nonverbal communication and business etiquette today. To put it simply, nonverbal communication is all the ways we express ourselves without words, like body language, facial expression, and even the tone of our voice. It's often said that up to 93% communication is nonverbal. Think about it. You can say one thing to your body might be sending a completely different message. On the other hand, business etiquette refers to the unwritten rules we follow in professional settings. It's about how we present ourselves, how we interact with colleagues, and the small things we do that make us appear professional, respectful, and trustworthy. These two aspects is critical because they shape how others see us in professional settings. Mastering them can improve how we communicate and work with others, whether it in an office, a meeting, or even in job interview. Now, here are the objectives for today's presentation. First, we'll understand the different types of nonverbal communication. I break it down into body language, facial expression, and more. Then, we'll recognize the importance of key nonverbal cues like eye contact and tone of voice. After that, we'll move on to learning basics and business etiquette, things you can practice daily to maintain professionalism. Finally, we'll explore how nonverbal communication and business etiquette affect your career success. Spoiler alert, they make huge difference. Alright, now let's dive into nonverbal communication. Body language, facial expression, eye contact, gestures, tone of voice. To summarize, nonverbal communication can either support or completely contradict what you're saying. Imagine telling someone, I'm excited to be here with a bored expression and slam posture. It just doesn't up, right? So it's essential to be aware of these cues when communicating in any professional setting. And that's our first part of the presentation of nonverbal communication. Thank you.
Good day everyone. Today I'm going to talk about nonverbal communication, especially focusing on the types of communication, its definition, and some common types in a business setting. Let's start with the different types of communication. There are two broad categories of communication: vocal and non-vocal. This might sound straightforward, but there's more to it. Vocal communication refers to anything that involves sounds from the word vocal. This includes not just spoken words, but also things like the tone of your voice, how loud or soft you speak, and even sounds like or laughter. For example, when you're talking to someone and they suddenly sigh heavily, even if they don't say a word, you can tell they're frustrated or tired. That's vocal non-verbal communication in action. Non-vocal communication, on the other hand, doesn't use sound at all. This would include written words like text or emails, or even body language like gestures or facial expressions. Communication can also be verbal or non-verbal. So, verbal communication is pretty clear, spoken or written words. So, everything I'm saying right now, or if I were to write a message, that's verbal communication. Non-verbal communication includes things like my facial expression, hand movements. All of that communicates something even though I'm not saying it loud. Non-verbal communication is basically any messages that isn't spoken or written. This can include everything from your body language to your appearance, and even how much space you give people when talking to them. A lot of the time, nonverbal communication is more spontaneous than verbal communication. For example, if I am talking to someone and they're giving me a blank stare, they don't need to say I'm bored. The expression is already telling me that they are bored. What's interesting is that nonverbal communication can either support what you're saying verbally or completely contradict it. Have you ever heard someone tell you that they're fine, but they look completely upset? Their nonverbal cues are contradicting their words. So, moving on to the common types of nonverbal communication that are super important in business settings. So, here are some examples. Body movement. So, this includes how you stand, your gestures, and your facial expressions. In a business environment, something as simple as good posture can convey confidence, while slouching might suggest that you're unprepared or uninterested. So, physical appearance. First impressions matter, especially in professional settings. Whether we like it or not, people judge us based on how we look. So, dressing appropriately for the situation, whether it's suit for a formal meeting or smart casual for an office, sends a strong message about professionalism. Voice qualities. The way we speak is just as important as what we say. A confident tone convey authority, while a shaky or soft voice might suggest nervousness. Even the speed at which we speak can influence how others perceive us. Time management. How we use time also communicates something about us. Being on time for a meeting, for example, shows that you respect others' time and organize, while showing up late may give the opposite impression. Touch. In many business cultures, a firm handshake is a key part of first impression. A weak handshake might suggest a lack of confidence, while a firm but not overpowering handshakes convey professionalism. Last, space and territory. How much space we give others during conversations, especially in a business setting, affect comfort levels. Standing too close can make people feel uncomfortable, while standing too far might make you seem distant, or uninterested. So understanding these aspects of nonverbal communication is crucial, especially in a professional environment where your body language can impact how your message is received. Lastly, let's dive a little deeper into body movement, which is one of the most noticeable forms of nonverbal communication. Facial expressions and eye contact. Our facial expressions communicate so much. Think about it. When someone smiles, it immediately puts what is right. But if someone is frowning or avoiding eye contact, it makes you feel like they're not interested or they disagree with you. Maintaining professional eye contact is a key. It shows that you're engaged and paying attention, but of course you don't want to stare at someone the whole time because that can get awkward. So gestures, this can be super helpful, this can be super helpful when you're speaking, especially if you want to emphasize a point. But you need to be careful here because not all gestures mean the same thing in different cultures. For example, a thumbs up might mean a good job in one country, but it could be offensive somewhere else. Posture and body orientation. Finally, how you hold yourself says a lot. Standing tall and facing the person you're speaking to shows confidence and engagement. On the flip side, slouching or turning away while someone is speaking can make you seem uninterested or dismissive. So these are small things, but in a business settings, they can make a big difference in how you're perceived by others. Body language often speaks louder than words. So to wrap it up, nonverbal communication is a critical part of how we interact with others, especially in a business. Whether it's through body language, facial expressions, or even how we use our voice, nonverbal cues often communicate much more than we realize.
Yun. Facial expression and eye contact. First photo. Ask for students' feedback about the picture. In the second photo, pleasant direct eye contact is maintained by the looking at the area between the nose and mouth and occasionally to the eyes. In the third photo, staring is confrontational. It will quickly make the speaker lose their confidence. Fourth photo, looking down suggests the person is not confident or may not know how to express their opinions. Respect cultures where direct eye contact is considered rude. If a dog raced up to you, furiously wagging its tail, and then look up you with smiling puppy dog eyes that said, "I'm excited to see you," how would you act? Most people would pat the dog, using body language alone. That happy kind and communicated, "You are the most important person in the world to me." In that instant, the dog made you feel good about yourself. Every time you meet with an employer or job seeker, smile. It's equivalent to the dog wagging its tail. Not only will it make the other person feel good about themselves, it communicates that you are friendly and approachable. Eye contact is one of the most powerful communicators known to man. Hearts have been broken and wars have been declared in the wink of an eye. In Western cultures, maintaining constant eye contact communicates "I am listening" and "you have my undivided attention." Direct eye contact, however, can be confronting over a prolonged period. Alternate between occasional direct eye contact to focusing on the area between person's mouth and nose. As a professional, you need to attune yourself to different cultural customs. when dealing with people from various ethnic backgrounds. Pacific Islanders and Aboriginal people, for example, demonstrate respect by looking away or down from the person they're communicating with. For some cultures, direct eye contact can be interpreted as rude, confronting, or embarrassing. If you're not asked, most people will be only too pleased to help you understand their culture and beliefs. You have mastered the art of effective facial communication when you can maintain a warm, friendly facial expression even when you're confronted with someone who irritates or challenges you. Refraining from using negative expressions like rolling your eyes, scowling, or even worse, yawning is the hallmark of a professional. Gestures. First photo, pointing, aggressive and confrontational. On the second photo, open hand gestures illustrate your point. Third photo, clenched fist and frowning. It means angry. Fourth photo, a single open hand gestures take a seat. Gestures can be used to emphasize a point, illustrate a point, communicate a desired action. Gesticulation introduces emotion and animation to an oral storytelling. Gestures combined with special expressions can be used to entertain, instruct, or even threaten. The amount of gesturing used in a conversation is usually determined by social or cultural conditioning. For example, Italians are famous for talking with their hands. In a professional setting, most people gesture using their fingers, arms, hands, or even feet. Gestures can also be used negatively. A person anxious for a meeting to finish, for example, may begin to tap one foot in frustration, yet be aware of their action. Your challenge will be give unconscious gestures, like tapping your feet in check. At all times, your facial expressions and gestures should match the meaning of your words. Sending mixed messages. Risk confusing the recipient, raises doubts about how genuine you are, raises questions about your credibility or knowledge. Reflect back on the moment when you sent a mixed messages to introduce nonverbal communication lesson. Same sign, different meanings. Open palm. In Greece, an insult dating to ancient times. In West Africa, you have five fathers, an insult akin to calling someone a bastard. Posture and body orientation. In the first photo, slouching communicates I'm so not interested in being here. In the second photo, good posture communicates I'm listening and paying attention. How you hold yourself communicates your level of confidence. An upright, strong posture communicates I am confident and I am in control. A person who sits or walks with slumped shoulders, hands in pockets, and looking downward suggests a lack of confidence or a low self-esteem. Similarly, a person engaging in a conversation with their arms folded suggests they are disagreeing, defensive, or cold. Fidgeting in a chair or drumming fingers absent-mindedly communicates disinterest or boredom. Stand or sit a comfortable distance apart, facing the person you are talking to. Allow your personality to shine through while maintaining a professional disposition if people like and trust you. It will make communicating with them much faster. Physical appearance. To project a professional image, wear smart, casual, or corporate attire appropriate for the situation. Invest time into staying well-groomed. Pay attention to your personal hygiene. To project a professional image, wear smart, casual, or corporate attire appropriate for the situation. Invest time into staying well-groomed. Example given: fashionable haircut, clean nails, and etc. Pay attention to your personal hygiene. Example: keep deodorant at work if you sweat a lot. Make sure your breath is fresh before a meeting, and etc.
Voice qualities such as volume, speed, pitch, tone, and accent carry both intentional and unintentional messages. For example, when you are nervous, you tend to speak faster and at a higher pitch. For people who speak so softly, they risk being interrupted or ignored, whereas people who speak so loudly are often seen as being pushy and insecure. Here's some example of a sentence that changes its meaning with each reading. So, Mary had a little lamb. Mary had a little lamb, not Tom. Mary had the lamb. So Mary had a little lamb. She had it once, but she does not have it now. Mary had a little lamb. She had one, not two, and not the lamb. Mary had a little lamb. The lamb was little and not big. Mary had a little lamb. It was a lamb and not a dog. A significant number of voice qualities are universal all across human cultures. For example, around the world, adults use a higher pitched voice to speak to children, greetings, and during courtship. Also, in almost every language, speakers use a rising intonation when asking a question. Time perception. Okay. Time perception greatly affects our lifestyle, movement, speed of speech, and the amount of time set for listening. It also closely linked to a person's social status. So, the higher the status, the more control the person over has. The higher the status, the more control a person has over his time. For example, a boss can talk to an employee whenever he chooses to, but an employee needs to set an appointment to see the boss. It is very important to remember that various cultures have different perception of time. In South America and Arabian countries, people believe they have all the time in the world, and the word deadline does not exist in their language. Touch is the first sense we develop, even before birth. Some touches, such as those made by physicians during examination, are purely physical. Others, such as a handshake, are a friendly sign of willingness to communicate, and still others indicate intimacy. So, although touching is very important for form of business communication, it is one of the most people do not know how to use appropriately and effectively. The person who never touches anyone in a business setting may be seen as cold and standoffish, whereas a person who touches too frequently may cause the receiver to feel apprehensive and uncomfortable. Remember, touching behavior is very culture specific. Many Asians do not like being touched except for a brief handshake and greeting. Many Asians do not like to be touched except for a brief handshake and greeting. However, handshakes in much of Europe tend to last longer than in the United States and Canada, and Europeans tend to shake hands every time they see each other, perhaps several times a day. Germans typically use a firm grip and one shake. Asians typically grasp the other's hand delicately and shake only briefly. In much of Europe, men often kiss each other upon greeting. Unless an American or Canadian business person is aware of this custom, he or she might react inappropriately. Space and territory. When you are at a crowded elevator, you probably look at the indicator, at the advertisements, at your feet, or just straight ahead. Most people in our culture are uncomfortable in such close proximity to strangers. Psychologists have identified a 4 zone which people in our culture interact. So, intimate zone, from physical contact to about 18 inches. This is where all your body movements occur. This is reserved for close, intimate interactions. For example, mother and baby relationships. At this distance, the physical presence of another is overwhelming. Violation of our territory. Violation of our territory, depending on the seriousness, may provoke such feelings such as discomfort, irritation, anxiety, and even anger and aggression. Business associates typically enter this space infrequently and only briefly, perhaps to shake hands or pat someone in the back. Second is our personal zone. Personal zone extending from 18 inches to about 4 feet. This is where conversation with close friends and colleagues takes place. Unlike interaction to intimate zone, normal talking is frequent in the personal zone. So, some but not great deal of business interaction occurs here. For example, business lunches typically occur in this zone. Third is the social zone. Social zone is from 4 feet to 12 feet. This is where most business exchanges occur. Informal business conference and staff meetings occur within this place. Fourth is the public zone. Extends from 12 feet to as far as the eye can see and the ear can hear. So it is the most formal zone and the least significant interaction occur here. Because of the great distance, communication in the public zone is often one way, as from a speaker to a large audience. Remember that the more we get to know the person, and the more we like them, the closer we permit them into our personal space. So our feelings about the space are partly an outgrowth of our culture and partly a result of geography and economics. For example, Americans and Canadians are used to wide open spaces and tend to move about expansively, using hand and arm motions for emphasis. But in Japan, which has smaller spaces for living and working spaces, such abrupt and extensive body movements are not typical. Likewise, Americans and Canadians tend to sit face to face so that they can maintain eye contact. No? Eye contact, whereas Chinese and Japanese, to whom eye contact is not as important, tend to sit side by side during negotiations. Thus is space and territory.
Alright, let's start by talking about business etiquette. So what is business etiquette exactly? Well, it's basically the practice of polite and appropriate behavior in business setting. You might think it's just about saying please and thank you, but it's much more than that. It covers how you conduct yourself in meeting, how you interact with colleagues, and even how you dress and communicate. Remember, good business etiquette makes you appear more professional, and it helps in building strong relationships with colleagues and clients. It's not just about being nice, it's about showing respect and creating a good impression that sticks. Definition of business etiquette is the practice of polite and appropriate behavior in a professional setting. It's not just about understanding the unspoken rules that help you navigate your work environment smoothly and professionally. Mark Twain once said, "Always do right, you will please some people and astonish the rest." This is essentially what business etiquette is about: doing the right thing at the right time, even if no one's looking. Move on to something that we do almost every day in the workplace: greeting and introductions. In business, how you greet someone can set the tone for the entire interaction. When meeting someone, always offer a handshake. You should offer your entire hand, web to web, and give a light shake before releasing. The idea is not to crush their hand or give a weak handshakes, but to show confidence and respect. Also, you need to know whom to introduce first. Typically, you introduce a junior person to a senior person or a colleague to a client. It's also good practice to include a title, especially in formal settings. This not only shows respect but also helps the conversation start smoothly. Let's talk about something that can be tricky: business meals. Whenever it's lunch or dinner, dining in a business setting comes with its own set of rules. First off, the host always unfolds the napkin and places it in their lap first, and then you follow. Small actions like these are important because they show respect for the occasion. If you need to step away from the table during the meal, leave your napkin on your chair, not the table. When ordering, signal the waiter by closing your menu and placing it on the table. Always wait for the host to give you some cues before diving into your meal. Lastly, when using silverware, start from the outside and work your way in as the courses progress. This might seem basic, but mastering these simple gestures can set you apart in professional settings. Let's switch gears for gift giving in the workplace. Before you give a gift at work, think about three things: your motive, your relationship with the person, and your budget. For colleagues, follow the company's guidelines on price limits and avoid gag gifts unless you're absolutely sure that they'll be received well. Always wrap the gift and don't be late with it's all about presentation and timing. Finally, let's talk about dressing appropriately for work. Always adhere to dress code set by your office. When in doubt, go for business attire over casual. It's always better to be overdressed than undressed in professional settings. Keep your appearance clean and well groomed. It's not just about the clothes you wear but how you present yourself. And remember, having a professional wardrobe doesn't have to break the bank. Smart, well-chosen outfits can go on long way and there's no need to be overly flashy. Even on casual Fridays, maintain a professional vibe because you never know when you'll have to interact with clients or upper management. And that wraps up my report on business etiquette and professional conduct. Remember, mastering these small details can make a big difference in how you perceive in the professional world.